Deleting ghosties. Many Instagram accounts have followers that never like or comment on photos, and this tends to discourage many people who post pictures regularly on Instagram. So how does a person on Instagram decide who is a ghostie and who isn't? Many people have developed methods of deciding who is a ghostie, but I don't think they are as effective as the one I will discuss today. So let's start by reviewing their methods of detecting ghosties. Well, the first method that they tend to use is they'll post up a picture and they'll say, well, go like my last picture or I will delete you because I'll think you're a ghostie. Well, that's kind of the militant way to do things. I don't think it's very user-friendly, but okay. Another way is they'll hold contests. They'll say, well, if you go like my last picture, I will spam you with a ton of likes. Or, if you like my last picture or my last 3 or 4 pictures, I will give you a shout out. That's all nice and everything. Or, they'll stand there and say, well, if you like my last picture, I'll give you what is called a to be honest. That's what TBH actually stands for, is a to be honest. And I'll give you an honest review of you and your account. Or they will rate you if you like their last picture. Well, that's like constantly handing candy to kids. Well, that's nice and all, but I don't really think it's very effective. Sure, it will eventually get rid of some ghosties, but well, let's face it, they may come back. And that's not a good thing. So you say, well, what's a better method of finding out who's a ghostie and who isn't? By asking legitimate questions. And I don't just do it on Instagram, I actually do it right here on YouTube. A lot of times I will actually review a picture on Instagram right here on YouTube. And why would I do that? Well, it not only helps me delete ghosties, but on top of that, it encourages active Instagram users. It helps them become more and more famous. Think about it. When I review a picture here on YouTube, that means I have actually legitimately looked at your picture. I found something, or more than one something. I may have found several things interesting about your picture, and that's why I'm asking. That's it right there. So what is a legitimate question? Well, let me define it for you. Let's start with a school mascot. Let's say you're wearing a shirt or you have a team of people and they're all together displaying their school mascot. Okay? Whether it be on their shirt or whether they actually have a physical mascot or whatever. When I was in school, you say, well, man, that was a long time ago. Well, okay, it was a long time ago. But when I was in school, my history teacher taught me and my classmates about our mascot. Because there was historical information about our mascot. Now then, some mascots aren't necessarily historical, but they are interesting nonetheless. This ranges from bears to hawks. Think about it. When your mascot is the hawk, hawks swoop down, they grab their prey, and they take off with it. Just hope that no hawk comes flying at you and tries to take you away. See what I mean? I mean, think about the majestic eagle. So let's say that's your mascot. There you go. Okay? See what I mean? So, you may not learn about your mascot from history, but you may learn about your mascot from biology. Okay? Even if your mascot's the amoeba, well, there's stories about amoebas. You just gotta learn them. That's what makes things interesting. Okay? So, when somebody asks you about your mascot, don't tell them to go away. Learn about your mascot and give them an honest answer. Because not only are you supporting your school mascot, you're supporting your school, you're supporting your team, and you're supporting yourself. You're actually showing people that you're an intelligent person, that you're enthusiastic about your mascot and your school, which therefore makes you a very interesting person to be around. And people want to know more about you because you know about your mascot. See what I mean? So asking about a school mascot is a very good thing to do. Now then, let's go on. What about these QR codes? Now, I told you previously, in a previous video, I told you that I have a video up on my YouTube channel discussing QR codes, how they're used, why they're there, so on and so forth. Now, for many, many, many years, companies have either put their brand logos or they have put pictures of rock stars, movie stars, you name it, on t-shirts, on ball caps. Sports teams do this. They put their insignias on ball caps and t-shirts. And they do it for a very specific reason, to get people interested in these kind of things. They're great discussion pieces. That's why they do this. So when somebody asks you about what is on your shirt, whether it be a QR code or some kind of a team logo or an advertising logo, that's a legitimate question. They may be interested in the product you're advertising. If you don't want to advertise the product, don't wear a shirt that advertises the product. See this shirt right here? It doesn't advertise anything. It's just a nice shirt. Nobody's going to ask me about this shirt. But if I was wearing a shirt with some kind of an advertising logo on it, they would ask me. And what's worse is these QR codes are on your shirt. You know how they're used. No wonder people take pictures of your shirt. They're wanting to know more about the products that QR code is representing. That's why they do that. You are literally a walking billboard when you are wearing a shirt with a QR code on it. So don't get upset if people take pictures of your shirt, because that's why it's there. Okay. Now, what about if you're at a beach? Okay, what do you do at beaches besides tanning yourself to pieces? Okay, I know a lot of people love to tan themselves. As long as you're wearing sunscreen, that's not a big deal. If you're not protecting yourself, you can get yourself cooked, and later on you can end up with melanoma, and that's something you don't want. But anyway, if you're on a beach and you decide not to tan yourself, there are other things you can do on the beach. One, play beach volleyball. That's fun. That's active. Okay? And you get to know people this way. You get to form teams. You become very active. People get interested in you. You get interested in them. So on and so forth. That's a great way to meet people. How about collecting seashells? You're telling me you've never collected seashells on the seashore? If you're living near a seashore, collect seashells. If nothing else, paint the seashells and sell them on eBay. That's a great thing to do. Okay? Now, you're telling me you've never built a sandcastle at a beach? Really? That's a great way to draw people, and it makes you a more interesting person. You actually went to the effort and you actually did something constructive. That makes you an interesting person. People want to hang around people like that, especially they do have sandcastle competitions. And you could enter them and maybe win a prize. And that would definitely make you a very interesting person. And don't think it doesn't, because I know better. So these are legitimate questions. How about if you take a picture of a beach that you've walked around? Well, just knowing the distance of the beach, that could be interesting in itself. Because if you know how far the beach stretches, you can know how far you can walk. If you have a short beach, you're not going to take a very long moonwalk. But if you have a very long beach, you could take quite a big moonwalk. I mean, here you are, you got your significant other, you take them on a walk along the beach. Well, you want to spend a lot of time with that person. Well, you don't want to walk 5 steps, turn around and walk another 5 steps. Some of those beaches stretch so far, you could walk an entire hour and not reach the end of the other side of the beach. See what I mean? So that is something interesting to know. It's also interesting to know to geologists, let's say the beach starts shrinking. Okay? That can happen. It's weird, but it can happen. Well, that could be an interesting geology study. That could change wildlife. That could change ocean tide. I don't know. It could change a lot of stuff in nature. If your beach is starting to shrink, or it's starting to get bigger, and there's a lot less water, that could be a problem. See what I mean? So it's something definitely worth studying. So when somebody asks you how long your beach is, don't tell them to go away. Figure it out. It could be very interesting to find out. Find out how long the beach was years ago. Maybe you can calculate how big the beach is going to get later on. You never know. Anyway, here's another one. If you are standing in front of a fence, whether it be a barbed wire fence or a picket fence, think about the people who constructed that fence. How much time they spent constructing it. How long the fence actually is. What they had to use to construct the fence in the first place. How durable the fence is. Think about it. You go out there, you take a picture of yourself in front of a fence today, and then the whole fence falls over tomorrow. Now people are looking for this fence that isn't there anymore. And there may be a wonderful historical story about the construction of that fence. Maybe something significant happened while that fence was being constructed. You don't know. Those are legitimate questions. Think about it. Alright, another one. If you're taking a picture of a historical landmark or a historical building, you might want to know something about it. Because that's an interesting conversation topic. Ask any historian, they'll tell you. Learn about those things. It makes you a more interesting person. People want to talk to you because you have something to talk about instead of a selfie. Okay. Now the last one. This is something that a lot of people don't even think about. If you're going to go to the extra effort of displaying your blue jeans or your shorts that have a button fly or a zipper fly, if somebody asks you whether you prefer button flies or zipper flies, that is something to talk about. I mean, you brought it up. You are proudly displaying your shorts or your pants. Well, you bring up the topic, be responsible for it. You say, well, what's the big deal between button flies and zipper flies? Well, when you have a zipper flies do tend to get stuck at just the wrong moment. And guys, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, as for button flies, well, when it comes times to use the restroom, well, button flies, that could take a while to open up. And if you're one of those people that's desperate enough, that could be a real problem. See what I mean? So, it does bring up some rather interesting conversation. Anyway, these are methods that people can use to find out who is somebody that you really should follow or somebody you should just toss in the trash can. Okay? I know there's a lot of people out there that just post selfie after selfie after selfie. Well, it's fine and dandy you post up selfies, but let's have interesting conversation, people. Let's see how interesting of a person you actually are. See what I mean? Interesting people get hits all the time. So if you make yourself interesting, of course you're going to get lots of hits. You say, well, I get lots of hits just because I'm a female. Do you want those kind of hits? Or do you want legitimate active users? See the difference? So, my advice to those who post up pictures on Instagram on a regular basis is post up pictures that people can ask you questions about. And you'll get more active followers. Okay? Sure, you'll get a lot of followers just because you're female, but if you can post interesting pictures on your Instagram, you'll get lively followers. You'll get people that will like your pictures because they are interesting. Has nothing to do with your gender. See what I mean? Anyway, that's all I've got to say for today. Hopefully you are comprehending what I'm trying to tell you. Do you know the main reason why people follow me? Because I'm an interesting person. That's why. I ask interesting questions. I help accounts become more interesting and get better followers and views. And I legitimately educate people. Again, I'm a very interesting person. That's why people follow me. You're either going to be a leader or you're going to be a follower. If I were you, I would be the leader. I would set the trends. Don't follow the trends, set them yourself. You'd be much better off. Alright, this is Ted the Speed Learner signing off. I will tell you more in a future video, so stay tuned.